Ladies and gentlemen, cats, dogs, and frogs, I got another album review to do. This is for Lemonade, which I had a glass of lemonade just to sip on during this review. Yeah, this is Beyonce's sixth studio album, Lemonade, released back in 2016, April 23rd to be exact. Sixth album, second visual album on Columbia Records. Debuted number one, of course. Where else would the Queen debut at besides number one on the billboards? That was 485,000 copies first week, and it was like over 600 something album equivalents with like streaming and stuff. Now this is the critically acclaimed album that had I'll just call it the beef, the Beyonce and Jay-Z beef. Sonically, this album was just incredible. All the relationship stuff could be fake for all I care. Like, that's what I said. I said, this is amazing, even if she made it all up. Not saying she did or whatever. It's just, this is just awesome. I'm here to revisit because this was another one of the albums of the decade that really stood out head above shoulder about all the other albums, at least in my analytical reviewing of it. And then just sonically, like I said, I mean, I remember this, you can play it all the way through, and it's just a banger after banger. It was nominated for 9 awards at the 59th Grammys in 2017, and it won Best Contemporary Album and then Best Video for Formation. Now, the visuals was probably the spectacle that made this even better because it all just matched up. And then Beyonce just looks good on video. What else can we say? For the most part, it's just Beyonce at her best. The sounds, the producers, the writers, the features, they just hit you from all different angles. I mean, we got Hit Boy, we got Mike Will, we got Diplo, James Blake is here, we got The Weeknd is here, Belly, Stuart White, Derek Dixie, Ben Billions. It's just so many people, so many writers. Kevin Garrett is just like a big stew of just hate love, and black support. Gotta love Beyonce. Please subscribe to the video, hit that like button, turn on those post notifications when I drop these videos. I'm ready to go. Hope you ready to go. Track by track, Beyonce's sixth studio album, Lemonade. Number one is Pray You Catch Me. About 3 minutes intro, and the best thing I could say for this track is that it set the tone for the album. I mean, she mentions, I pray, catch you whispering, pray you catch me listening. It's a couple different little, that's pretty much the back and forth in it, and you can just hear how she says it, her tone, how she sings, how the song kind of eases through those 3 minutes, and it basically leads into number 2, which is Hold Up. This was produced by Diplo, and you just know Beyonce was fed up, and the fed up part came from the visuals. She was running around with bats, and however I remember it, it was just it looked amazing, but you just knew that she was just pissed off. That passion comes through. It comes through the headphones. It comes through the speakers. And then when it's Beyonce, it gets a little more ratcheted up. And, that's what Hold Up was. And it came at you so fast after the slow down of Pray You Catch Me. Hold Up really just came in and said, hold up. You know who I am. Number 3 is Don't Hurt Yourself featuring Jack White. Really, you could sum up the whole song with the first couple of bars. The first verse is phenomenal in itself, but she starts it off simply by saying, who the F do you think I is? In proper English, you ain't married to no average B boy. just direct as it gets. You can watch my fat twist boy as I bounce to the next male organ. Boy, it's just, she said it with such grit and just glamour and Beyoncé, just like, man, I'm sorry, I know I don't want to get out of hand, but that's, you hear that first verse, and then the production was just off the chain, and you get magic. I mean, I didn't even know I could imagine Jay-Z listening to it and just smiling like, what else you gonna do? This is my wife. For Sorry, it was the smash, or one of the smashes. It was a bunch of smashes. It was like 5 singles, I think. This was the infamous Becky line. This was the breakup track. If you want to call it like if there was a song on here that kind of exclamation point that I'm done, that this, you better fix this, or it's right on, thin ice, that was this track. The song, go crazy, and I always just tell people that I used to play this in the gym so much, and people are like, what? Like, why would you play this in the gym? Like, this is for women. Like, nah, this is hard, this bangs, and this will get you going. Number 5 is 6 Inch featuring The Weeknd. I would never forget upon seeing the track list and seeing who was on here. Obviously, The Weeknd. I might have went to 6 Inch first. I normally don't do that, but Weeknd was really popping. Weeknd's huge now, but Weeknd was really popping in, and I think I went straight to 6 Inch. It's a really good song. It's definitely hard. Danny Boy Styles was on the production. Beyonce was on the production. It's women empowering. I thought The Weeknd did fit in perfectly on here. The track does feature additional vocals from Belly. And it's just, it gives you a nice change of pace from the bashing that was just delivered in the previous 3 tracks. It's a different tone. It's a different feeling. It's a good feeling. It's a nice where 6 Inches talking about heels and women in heels and how you could walk and smash it and those heels. It's dope. It's a good song. 6 is Daddy Issues. I think this is probably the only song that I never ever cared for. I think it was her first experimental lane into country. Maybe, I don't know, but at least that I can remember. It's about her dad, but the sound, how she sings it, the sing rapish or the sing, I don't know. It's more singing, but it just doesn't really fall in line with Beyonce. But it was definitely an ode to Texas, where she's from, and just a little bit different. And it may have made sense because it kind of separates itself from the rest of the album. You shout out Pops on just a whole different type of sound, and then jump back into the album with number 7 with The Love Drought. It's a relationship track, and I always love the sound production aspect of the song. It just always puts you in a different space, and it just always sounded really cool to me. The vocals in it are Beyonce, so what? But yeah, take that out. They're not the best Beyonce, but the production and how it sounds like a Love Drought song. It matches so well, and I think that's why I always love the production on here. Number 8 is Sandcastles, where she just sings about the relationship that was built. Building sandcastles can be a task, and when you build them, you don't just want the water to come unimpeded and just knock them over. And that's kind of the gist of it. It was a kind of really good placement. She placed these songs very well on Lemonade. She did an amazing job of placing it. With the singing on here, pretty much it's a straight ballad where she sings and stuff. Number 9 is Forward featuring James Blake, where they just sit down for about a minute. Or I'm sure they sat down longer. But yeah, right at the piano, and they just sing for a bit. It's a bit soothing and kind of cool hearing, them both sing together. Number 10 is Freedom featuring Kendrick Lamar. So Freedom is that track that I always thought that it would have been cooler at the beginning. It just couldn't get at the beginning. This album had a purpose, and had things not gone, I guess, the way they had gone, this probably would have been featured earlier in the album. So I'm sure this is probably the direction that Beyonce wanted to go with this album, instead of having to, air out business. But Freedom with Kendrick Lamar, Just Blaze pulled a rare sample from a buddy that I don't think most people have, and then Kendrick just loses his mind on here. I never forget the BET Awards, how they just smashed that stage. They opened it and closed it at the same time. 11 is All Night. My favorite. It was always my favorite track since day one. I love the sound. The vocals are dope. The production is dope. And I just enjoyed the visuals when I watched it. It felt like it matched. It was a lot of writers on here. I'm not sure what they all did per se, but I just felt like this song just is so soothing, it's so cool. The lyrics are so right on time. Anytime you listen to it, it's a good song. Number 12 is Formation. Formation was Beyonce's song that kind of tipped this album off. It tipped the scales. Formation was made for the ladies. It was made to show that women, rock it. And I feel like it is one of Beyonce's best songs. And not in terms of just sonically or production or lyrics. I just think the overall song, what it encapsulates, how it plays in every setting is so cool. It's so lively, and the energy, it just has a lot of good components that all just make a lot of sense. It may not be the best at everything in this category in the song, but it feels so good, and it's just one of those really good songs. Being that first single, which pushed into this album, like I said, with Formation, and I mentioned Freedom, you know she probably wanted to go a different direction, but this is what was laid out, and this is where she put the album in, and you got a classic. Speaking of classic, Beyonce's sixth studio album, second visual album, Lemonade, is probably the best of her bunch, and Beyonce has a big bunch of albums that are really, really good. This one is her at her best, in her moment, in her element, and with a little bit of conflict involved, so it gives it that edge. It gives it the edge. And I think that sometimes records need. I believe the year 2016, it's like 30-something magazines said this was the number one album of that year. I found it to be amazing the amount of times it came up in album of the decade. It made me. I haven't listened to it in a while. I've heard songs, but not listened to it in a while, and it made me like want to listen to it again and then review it and just kind of talk about how and why it is so good. And obviously it's because of Beyonce, obviously because of the conflict, but when you get all these writers, you get all these producers, you get perfectly placed features, you pace the album, put everything in the right order, you present it in such a great fashion of not only the sound of it, to be able to play it in your car or play it at work or at the gym, but you can also watch it. You can also watch it on your big TV and listen to it through the speakers, and it all matches up and it all makes sense, and you're like, man, this is good. Man, this is enjoyable to watch and listen to. It's like a movie. It's almost like you get something out of it. Yeah, that's it. This is it's easy to get on a review and go about an album, and this is one of the easy ones to do because it's pretty much, it's well rounded. It's everything you want, from the biggest star arguably in the world. Thanks for watching. D. Crenny on the review. See you at the next one. Holla.